Hi everyone, in this video I'm gonna be skimming all this area all the way around, and I'm just going to talk you through exactly how I'm going to do it, what tools I need, what materials I'm going to be using, and the equipment that I need to use as well. So we'll jump straight into it. Right, so what we've got is, first of all, we've got a trestle, we've got us bags of plaster over there, there's some orange tape, and I'll show you in a second what I'm going to do with all the sockets and cables that are hanging out and stuff. So we don't need them at the moment, but we needed some tin snips to put as beads on. You can see that in another video. I'll probably put a card in the top just to show you which video that is. So we don't need them, but there they are. Decent quality snips. And then I've got a staple gun. This will fire up to 16mm staples, and I think I've got 12mm in here at the moment, so that's something else that you need for beading, or you can just use clamp nails. I wouldn't recommend using screws. We've got some scream, we've got a Stanley knife. We don't need them because I've already taped up, but you can have a look at other videos that I've done and you can see what we use. I've got an hammer, S-swing hammer that I always keep with me. Obviously we don't need that, but I have had to use it to set things up. So this part is the essential stuff for skimming. So I've got my ox trowel, 14" by 5 stainless steel. I've just started using this from a Marshalltown, and obviously I like it. It just glides over plaster. It's pre-broken when I bought it, but as you use it, it gets sharper. And then I've got my Nella Mediflex. I don't like using Superflex. I just think it's a little bit too soft and too flexible, you know, with the metal. Mediflex is good enough for me with a cork handle. So the difference in them two, I'll be using that one to put it on, to flatten it and to lay it down, you know, your second coat, and then I'll be using that one to smooth it off and finish it off. Then we've got a stainless steel Ragney gauger, bucket trowel, or some people call it. When you buy one of these, or any sort of gauger or bucket trowel, the corners are pointy, so I just cut them off and sand them down, grind them and make them round so it doesn't put holes in the buckets. Then I've just got an old brush, just a 4" brush I use that to clean off. I always like to use a different brush than my finishing brush, which is here. This is just a 6" brush. There's no particular make. I just use this one for splashing. Some people use spray guns and stuff like that, but it's just unnecessary. Another item to carry to a job, and I don't think that's necessary, but that's me. A 1" brush. I always like to get the synthetic bristles. It stops all your bristles falling off if you use on black ones. Your bristles always fall off and go into your wall, and it just becomes a pain. And then we've got a Ragney internal angle trowel, stainless steel. All corners are curved all the way around. Marshalltown do them. There's various different makes, but this one is just the one that I find the best. Next up, I've got my Marshalltown handboard. I've had it, as you can tell, I've had it years, and Marshalltown is good for stuff like that. And then we'll move on to buckets and what we need for that area. So as you can see, I've got my DeWalt mixer. It's battery operated. Just double check it's got some charging. You lift it up, wind it round. There's no cables trailing about, so I can just use that. And it just makes it look tidier when you're doing a job. I've got the water in here for how much I need to mix, and I've got another bucket here that I use for cleaning off. I put my mixer in there, clean off my tools and stuff like that, and I've got another bucket that you might just see on camera, so that I just use that for splashing. As we trowel up, I'll probably put a little bit more water in than that. And then in distance, if you can see that, yeah. I've just got my Unibond, that wall and that section just needed unibonding. So I've done that previously, so I'll be moving that out of the way as we crack on. So what I'm going to do is show you how to mix up and the way I do it. So just before I mix up, I'm going to show you what I do with my sockets whenever I'm working on a job. Just get a bit of, I wouldn't recommend using duct tape, I use some decent quality tape. And I don't fully tape the sockets up and stuff, but I just sort of cover the terminals up on back so any water can't get in there. It's always best to turn the electric off while you're doing this, just to make sure you don't get electrocuted. So I'll put one on back, and then just tape the front up, and it'll just save all cleaning afterwards. You'll notice my screws are in there as well, so I don't lose them. And just go all the way around it, and it just saves covering it in plaster. And I'll put one up front, just to make sure it's all covered. And then that way, any plaster goes on that, it's just, I could just rip that tape off and there we go. And it's sort of safe all the way around, you know, even if I touch it with trowel, but it's off anyway. So yeah, now I'll jump straight onto how to mix up. So I'll show you how to mix up. I'll put my drill up, leaning up like that. Obviously if I had full bags I'd use full bags, but these are just from the training courses that I do. And it just made sense to use them up while they were open. So I've got 4 here, obviously from lads and the women that was training. So first of all, we'll pour it in. Just make sure you get a dust mask, gloves if you need them. And what I'll do, I'll just pour that one in. Obviously if you get more if it were a full bag. And then I'll pour the next one in. And what you want, if you can see through that dust, wait a minute, you want to create like a little bit of a mountain in the middle. And I just see, that's just something that I always learn. So you have like a little bit of a mountain in the middle, surrounding the area by a good few inches all the way around. And what you'll do is just work your mixer from edge into the middle and just make sure you get it all mixed up. So I'll show you quickly how to do that. So it's important not to overmix it, so I just get a little bit of a turn round. Not too much at that point. Get me over bag. Now I've mixed it up and stirred it up a little bit, it's gone a bit more creamy, so I don't need to put as much in. I need to create that little bit of a mountain in the middle and sort of cover it all the way around. And then just whisk that up, turn your mixer down, just make sure that's not on full blast. And as I'm mixing it up, I know that that's just a little bit too soft how it is, but it's not far off. And what you don't want to do is pour too much in. And it either happens to me where you put too much in, and obviously you have to add water again, which is something you don't want to do. So as it gets a bit stiffer, just turn your mixer up. And just make sure it's alright and how you want it. So we'll get this bucket trowel, and we'll just get a quick test, and that's alright, I didn't even have to test it. But what we'll do is go all the way around bucket, just gears gauge, just all that crap off its sides. So that there's no like powder that's going to go in there, and that's an important part of when you're mixing up. So, and then all we'll do, you'll notice I'm not over mixing it, I'm just like keeping it steady as I go. But on this part, I'll mix it until all the bits are gone, probably less than a minute and it'll be done. Turn power up on mixer as well. So then when I've got that mixed consistency and I've got it right, I'll just tap it off on bucket like you've just seen. And just get a quick rinse off in this bucket. And not full blast, just a little bit so we can you know, get a swell on bottom end of the mixer. And then just go down with brush and just make sure we get all them bits off the edges around here. And like I said, I only use this yellow brush for cleaning off and stuff like that. I like to look after my tools as best as I can. Just a final turn over just to make sure I know it's on there, and that's about as clean as you're going to get it. With plastering, it's just very important to keep clean as much as you can, even though it's a messy job, but it just helps overall. So now we'll make a start on putting wall on. So whenever you're doing plastering, preparation is key. It's the same principle as any other job really. Just make sure that your handbag and trowel are clean. Give them a little bit of a wet down with some water on both sides, just to make sure you know it's got something to stop all moisture sucking out of your plaster straight away. Pick your bucket up, trowel up, and put a couple of scoops on. If you're just starting, I'd probably just put 1 scoop on rather than 3, and just like smear it around your handbag, and all that'll do is just absorb all water that's on there, and it'll just stop it from, you know, sort of falling off, if you know what I mean. So what we'll do is I'll go around and coat all my beads. What you should do is coat all your scrims, all your beads before you put any on any wall, and even at my level of doing plastering, I always make sure that I coat my beads. It's just something that I've always done. So we'll go all the way around and coat them up. I don't know if you can notice, but I'm left-handed. I've probably said that in another video before, but you'll be working a different way. If you notice, I am sort of working the opposite way to the right-handed person will work. And we'll fill his handbag up. And I'll just crack on and get it chucked on. So it's important when you cover your beads, you just put enough on all the way around. You want to make it like 2 to 3 millimeters, and just make sure you get a good decent coverage on there. And I'll put these beads underneath, treat it like a ceiling. It's been waiting for a while this, because I've been busy with training and background work and various different jobs that we've been doing. So you never quite get on with your own stuff at home. But you know, this is why we do it. So on a section like this and underneath here, just make sure you get a decent coat on your beads, because what we'll do is come back to it and actually like put it on as though it's a wall or a ceiling or whatever you want to call it. Another important tip you'll notice when I'm doing this sort of ceiling underneath, I'm not keeping my trowel directly above my head. It's sort of to one side, if you know what I mean. If you put your trowel bang above your head, you're asking for trouble if ever you do drop some. It's going to cover you. So I'll just move a little bit of stuff back up there. Right, if I go quiet, it's because I'm concentrating while I'm banging this on. It's just therapeutic and I don't really think about what I'm doing, I just sort of crack on with it and get it done. But when you're learning, you'll sort of be thinking about everything that you're doing. And obviously that's just how you learn. It just takes time, that's all. So what I'm going to do up here, I don't know if I don't think I've said that, but I'm going to put a little bit of a curve on there, a straight on here, and I'm going to put a curve on there, and just put it out and make sure it's alright. So I'm going to cover this bead up first. I'm not skimming that because that's going to be like a doorway covering concealment unit up. But I am going to put a little bit of stuff on this bead just to make sure it don't start cracking on this side. It's always important to do that. You don't have to, but it just prevents it cracking on this part of the bead, if you know what I mean. A little bit hard to explain, but with practice I'm sure you'll find out. If you didn't coat your beads, what you'd find is as you're putting it on, I mean I'm using quite a bit of stuff here to pull these beads out, so what you'll find is you'll never actually, it'll slow you down a little bit because there's that much filling out to do. Not every wall's the same, but you're always better coating them up just to make sure it's got that thickness that you need, which is between 2 to 3 millimeters on average. I'll move this bucket, don't need you involved. So I'll just double check with camera that you can see what I'm doing from this part. Not quite. So what I'm doing on this bit is normally I'd come first and I'd bond this section out like that's bonding, that's your base coat. But I've scrimmed it up and I'm going to form it with skimming, well plaster, which is what I'm doing now. And just to create that bit of a curve. And as that picks up a little bit, by the time I put the coat on, it should be sound and ready to take another coat, if you know what I mean. And then obviously we'll get his third coat and his troweling and get it all done. And I'll coat this bead here all the way down. I'll just watch my head because no doubt I will crack it. Right, and I'll coat this front as well. If you're learning how to do this, you're always better off just sticking with one section or one wall or whatever you're going to put on. Don't try and put too much on. But if you've never done it before, it's just an obvious thing to do. So as you can see, I'm working from right to left and sort of bring me trowel to the left hand side as I put it on, and I'm sort of doing it fast because I want to get it all on as quick as I can. And the faster you put your first coat on, the quicker you can do your flatten coat. And then obviously your second coat, and this is the advantage plasterers, how we make it look easier, because we're trained and we're professional when we do it. And I'll just position camera a little bit. Right. So you'll have noticed I'm sort of starting at the point where I first cut my beads, which is obviously do. first section that you want to start on, so you can work your way around. And I'll finish off on that curve down there. That's like the last point of where I was. And I'll just get this bit. I think I'm off camera here, but yeah, this trowel, I do like it. I've not been using it that long, and it works wonders. It's quite good actually. Not if you notice on camera, but this board is wrong way around up here. So if the plasterboard's wrong way around, you should only skim on sort of the white side, not the brown side. But if you get a coat of Unibond, that'll kill any suction from that brown side, just like re-skimming a wall. So you can skim on the opposite side of the board, but it just makes it that little bit harder. But I only did that because it were an off-cut and the opposite side was not in right good condition, but it was just easier to skim on this side, to be honest. So I'm on this little bit of a sealing part around these beads. So I'm just gonna skim this, and when you put it on, you want to put some decent thickness on these, just in case your beads move. I mean, these are only stapled on. And you notice there's a bit of a ceiling up here, and there's another part of this column that I'm going to skim as well. And hopefully get it all on. It's hard to deal with all mess and stuff, so obviously I'm just going to get cracked on. What this used to be is like where I'm stood now. It was like a storage area, like an internal shed. I'm not sure if you can see it floor on camera, but roughly around this concrete area, about 2 meters square, so I've actually gained 2 meters in my kitchen, which will give some room for a table and stuff like that, or whatever we're going to do. So these kids have got somewhere to like sit down and eat dinner and play a tablet or whatever they're going to do. So I'm going to put this bit of curve on. So what I'm doing is sort of bending my wrist round angle. That's the easiest way I can tell you to, to sort of describe it. Not put much pressure on here. You don't want to put too much pressure on. You just want to gradually curve it round like you're putting a wall on, and sort of create that bit of a curve that we want. Put some on front of your trowel and sort of bring it up and round. And these wires here that you see in corner, they're all going to be boxed in, sorry. So they'll not get in his way, really not. I'll make a bit of a bigger boxing around them, but I don't want a massive one. There's a little bit of a bit here. If you have any bits when you're putting it on, just pick them out with your front end of your trowel. So to get round, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but to get round this socket, I'm going to use front end of my trowel and just like sort of glide over it with my trowel. I have forgot to tape this one up, but I'm not really going to make a lot of mess at all on that one. And I'm just going to tie it up to them cables and sort of bring my trowel across. It's a bit hard to explain, but just watching YouTube videos like this one alone and other ones won't actually learn you how to plaster yet. You have to actually get up and do it as best you can, but you are better off being shown properly. That's not me trying to sell to you, that's just sort of a common sense way of putting it, if you know what I mean. Let's just say you've had a mix like I just have and not mixed enough on human. There were quite a bit of filling out to do, you know, around beads and stuff like that. So you don't have to clean your bucket out, but if it's been a long time, then you are better off cleaning it out. And when I say a long time, if it's been half an hour stood in bucket and it's took you half an hour to use it up, then you are better off cleaning your bucket out. So what we're going to do again, just make sure we create that little bit of mounting in the middle. Another thing to keep on board is just make sure your trowel is always clean up back end. After a bit, once it starts sticking, it sets and you know it starts going into your wall, so you want to always try and keep on top of that. I tend to clean it off, you know, depending on the size of the gauge, every 10-15 minutes or something like that, just to make sure it's sort of sticky and it's not going to cause me any problems.